Thank you so much for joining us today. So excited you'll be with us on this presentation about 5 ways early career recruiting is changing and how to keep up. So first things first, a little introduction of myself. I'm the VP of B2B marketing and employer branding at WayUp, as Christina said. Just a little more context on WayUp. We are the go-to platform connecting top employers, and that's everyone from startups to Fortune 500s, with the absolute best early career talent. We have 5 million users. 65% of them are business and or STEM majors. 60% are female and 35% are underrepresented minorities. Now, in terms of the agenda for today, we're going to start by providing a little context about Gen Z and who they are, what their preferences are. And from there, we're going to jump into focusing on candidate experience, why candidate experience is so important. Then we're going to talk about the right mix of high tech and high touch. We're going to spend a little more time on that topic because it's, again, incredibly important. And then we're going to talk about why you need to always be selling to top talent. And to round out the presentation, we're going to actually show what the impacts of these changes are on your business. We always like to provide actionable tips, and then we like to explain, like why you should actually follow our advice. And again, we'll end with a Q&A. So first things first, a little bit on Gen Z. So Gen Z is anyone who's born in the year 1997 or after. And by 2021, they're actually going to comprise 1/5 of the workforce. And I just want to take a second to pause here because I know that 2021 can seem like it's a far time away, but it's actually only 2 years away. So in 2 years, this group is going to be 1 out of every 5 people working. And so what are they looking for when interviewing? Essentially, these are their top 3 preferences. They want quick responses from an employer about the interview outcome, about their status. They want information about the company, the role, the interview process. They want information on everything. They're voracious consumers of content. And the third thing is they really want the ability to speak to an actual person, either on the phone or in person. And we're going to dive more into each of these throughout the presentation, but this is really laying the groundwork for what's to come. So, which leads us to the first way that early career recruiting is changing. Candidate experience is more important than ever. So in the past, companies and employers may have been able to get by, if you're, say, a consumer brand, your consumer legacy, right? So people would want to apply because, oh, I like this product, I want to work there. It just doesn't work that way anymore. And here are some facts that really bear out that statement. So 41% of applicants who have a poor candidate experience, and this is among Gen Z, and if they leave with a negative impression, they're going to avoid buying the company's products. So it actually can hurt your sales. And if you're a company that, oh, I'm B2B focused, actually, again, just going back to what we just said, in 2 years, these people are going to be 1 out of every 5 workers. They're not that far away from making B2B buying decisions as well. So it will affect your sales one way or the other. The second point is Gen Z, they share negative experiences on social media 34% of the time. So 1 out of every 3 times you have a negative candidate experience, it's going somewhere on the internet, whether it's Glassdoor, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, etc. And last, Virgin Media actually, they wanted to quantify what the effect of their candidate experience was having on revenue. And so they conducted a study and they found that 6% of candidates actually canceled their Virgin subscription as a direct result of the interview process. And it cost the company $5 million annually. So overall, a poor candidate experience can hurt sales, can affect your brand reputation, and it can literally have a hit on revenue. So it's, again, more important than ever. But there is good news. There's a straightforward way you can deliver a positive candidate experience. It might not be simple, but it's straightforward. So what do you want to do? Give quick response times. Do not have an applicant black hole. The worst is when someone submits an application never to be heard from again. You really want to emphasize people throughout. So really, let your people shine. Provide candidates with information on the interviewing company. The more information, again, the better. And then last, you want to offer interview feedback and tips. They're receptive and they really want to know, how they're performing, both for positive feedback and also just to help them when they get in for, future round interviews. So the second way that early career recruiting is changing, you need to be fast, very fast. So if this sounds like, oh, well, we already are fast, we just want to, again, lay some context. So according to the NACE recruiting benchmark survey, and NACE is the National Association of Colleges and Recruiters, for anyone who's not familiar with it, If you're a company, and I know a lot of insight portfolio companies are these hyper-growth 500 to 1,000 person companies, so we wanted to pull how many people on average work in HR in a company that size. And according to NACE, it comes out to around 6 HR-focused team members. And these team members are doing everything from benefits to recruiting, so they're not just recruiting focused. And on average, the time it takes from a job posting to an interview is around 38 days. And the average time then, interview to hire, is around 24 days. So that's 62 days, almost 2 months to hire someone on average for these companies and enterprise companies in general. The average cost per hire is nearly $6,300. So that includes time spent if you go on college campuses, time spent from your recruiters, et cetera. And why is that important? Because top Gen Z candidates are only available for an average of 10 days. So the longer you take to actually hire them, you're putting yourselves at a disadvantage. And especially when you're in these hyper growth phases, like a lot of, again, insight portfolio companies are, you really want to use your size and the fact that you can be nimble to your advantage. You want to use that so you can move faster than these monolith, very large enterprise companies. They're likely more bureaucratic than you are. So how can you do that? How do you become faster? That's the third way that early career recruiting is changing. Use technology, right? So there's a ton of ways that you can use technology to really improve your early career recruiting process. One of those ways, find diverse, qualified candidates with job sourcing platforms. So instead of visiting college campuses across the US, increasing costs, slowing down the process, the hiring process, think about how you can leverage online job sourcing platforms to literally access thousands of students and recent grads across the country at schools you've never recruited at before, and how you can find them and keep them engaged much faster and at lower cost than you otherwise would be able to. Another way is a great way to use technology. You can cut scheduling times with automated tools. So instead of a lot of back and forth about scheduling interviews, those things that you don't necessarily realize how much time they take, there's tools like Calendly that allow you to seamlessly schedule interviews, phone screens, etc. The third way, you can use tech to really communicate those application questions and decisions to candidates. So after you review someone's application, if it's not a good fit, set up something in your ATS, an automated message that can go out after X number of hours, telling them either way what the decision is. Candidates don't mind getting a no, they just want to know either way. They don't want the applicant black hole. It's the worst thing you can have. And the fourth, just think about how technology can free up your team's time to focus on qualified applicants. And that really is the goal. Every recruiting team, you don't want to spend more time with unqualified applicants. You want to spend time with the best of the best. So you got to use technology. But of course, because nothing is that straightforward in life, the fourth way that early career recruiting is changing is you don't want to use too much technology. And we're going to get into this right now to explain how you strike that right balance. So we recently conducted a survey of 18 to 25-year-olds who are currently enrolled at US colleges and universities across the US and who had applied to a job or internship within the past 12 months. And I just want to caveat here, we firmly understand that early career recruiting does not just comprise this group, these, what we call them Gen Z and the on-the-cusp millennials. However, they're entering the workforce for the first time, so their preferences are new, and a lot of firms and employers aren't used to or accustomed to what their preferences are, and that's why we're highlighting them here. Anyway, so we sought to understand, for this 18 to 25-year-old group, Gen Z and the on-the-cusp millennials, we wanted to know what their preferences were as it related to video interviews and artificial intelligence, all within the recruiting process. So we asked them a series of questions. One of them was, if you had the choice between a phone screen with a person or a video interview in which you recorded and submitted responses with no human interaction. So this is different from, say, a Skype interview with an actual person on the other end. Which would you prefer? 87% preferred the phone interview with a person over the video interview with no human interaction. So it's just a crazy number when you think about it. 9 out of 10 Gen Z and younger millennials, they want human interaction. They don't want to just deal with technology. And I think we definitely think this makes sense. It's your first time applying. It's your first time going through a recruiting process. You have questions, you want to be reassured, and you want to talk to an actual person. It makes sense. It's different from something that you're accustomed to, and you don't mind having a fully automated chatbot to answer your questions. We then moved into asking them about their comfort level with AI. So we asked, how comfortable are you if AI were the sole determiner of your interview performance. 73% said they were uncomfortable with that. What's more, when we asked how comfortable they were if AI were the sole determiner of their job application, only 2% of respondents said they were very comfortable. And so this is just something that we thought was really interesting, is that in general, a lot of times the popular narrative is that, oh, these people are younger, they're accustomed to technology, in which they are. However, their comfort level with AI and video as it relates to interviews is often counterintuitive to what you might think. Now, if you're wondering, how do I strike this right balance again, right? So we call it Goldilocks recruiting. What you really want to do is leverage technology to give your recruiting team the ability to be more human. So think of ways that high tech can enhance high touch. That's the goal. How can high tech free up your recruiting team to spend more time with qualified applicants? Because that is the ultimate goal. Which leads us to the fifth way that early career recruiting is changing. It's the golden rule, ABC, always be closing. Now, of course, in the past, if you had a top candidate, really high quality, high caliber coming in, you'd want to sell them on working for your company. That has kind of just been pushed into overdrive now, right? To really win top talent among this cohort, you need to have a really strong employer branding strategy. You want them to want to work for your company long before they ever hit apply on one of your job descriptions. And that's why it's so important to have that targeted employer branding strategy. You want to create content that talks about what it's like to work at your company. What are the benefits? Why do people love working there? It's so important. And it really helps get your employer brand messaging out there. It builds brand resonance, drives engagement, and helps you just connect with individual candidates. So by the time they come in for an interview or you talk on the phone, they know about your company, they know what to expect, and they're amped to be there. The value add, of course, of having a strong employer brand, according to a study LinkedIn did, it actually can cut your hiring costs in half because you're getting really great qualified candidates who understand who you are, they understand the roles. And all this to say, how does this affect your business? Well, what we've seen is companies who implement these sorts of changes have cut their time to hire in half, 50%. They've also driven 2x the number of qualified candidates. So of course that saves time and money. They leave a really positive brand impression, especially with a strong employer brand. And all this helps build to, they are able to hire top talent before their competitors do, which is so, so important. Which leads us to the end point of our presentation. And I just want to let everyone know, thank you for bearing with us in this. And we actually have a discount through for inside portfolio companies of 15%. And so if you want to take advantage of that, please get in touch with me. You can see my contact information here. And I also wanted to just really quickly touch on, we actually have a conference coming up on Monday, April 29th. And if you found this topic about high-tech, high-touch recruiting interesting, you should absolutely go to wayup.com and RSVP. It's in New York City. The entire conference is themed around how to strike the right balance between high-tech and high-touch recruiting. And do we have any questions?